thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Welcome back, everyone, for episode 314 of the Massenomics podcast, the lifting podcast about nerfing, recorded live from Western, North, East, South Dakota. My name is Tanner.
And my name is Tommy.
Episode 314, Tommy, you know what that means.
Big announcement.
Big announcement. Oh, did you have anything?
No, I don't have.
Okay.
No, I was hoping you were going to give me an impromptu big announcement.
No,
and if I wished for it, it would just show up.
I was on the same boat. I was really hoping you had a big announcement that I could be excited for.
Too much wishful thinking, I guess.
Actually, there is something kind of exciting here. We have a new sponsor of today's show. Yes. Is this thing on? Make sure everyone's listening here. There's a new sponsor for today's episode, and it is, drum roll please, Juggernaut AI. Juggernaut AI has joined us as our newest sponsor of the Massenomics podcast. And first and most importantly, I want to lead with this. We have a discount code, and it is Massenomics, the full word.
So don't leave off those last 6 letters.
Yeah, you got to include the economics on it. Massenomics will. So if you're rushing to go sign up right now, I wanted to make sure that you at least knew about the discount code. If you're like I can't listen to the rest of this ad. I have to go get signed up right now. Now you know the discount code is Massenomics. And this has been in the works for a little while with Chad that we've talked about this, and we've made it happen here. This is actually kind of, I hadn't talked about this previously, but I've been using
this is where the infomercial starts, right?
Yes.
From a testimonial from a real customer. Here's what real customers have to say.
I first started using the Juggernaut AI app, I think. Did we lose something?
I believe the dog knocked the video plug out.
Okay.
You can keep talking.
Okay, yeah. So
you can keep talking.
Yeah, so I first started using the Juggernaut AI app about 5 or 6 months ago, and hadn't really talked about it on the podcast yet. I was kind of waiting for this to talk about it more, and I've really been enjoying it. There's several specific things that I really like about it that I'll probably continue to talk about more as we go through these ads over the coming weeks. But just personally, number one thing I've really enjoyed is how personalized it can get. You know, how I've adapted it over time for kind of what I'm shooting for, and even as like my goals have changed, how I've been able to adapt that program along with it. And one of the biggest things by having the app, even just like literally having it all recorded there all the time, your history on all these lifts. Some of these lifts, maybe like accessory or secondary lifts that I almost like write off as my weight of this lift is 95 pounds, and that's what I do for my sets like every time. And when you can kind of progress some of those smaller ones, that's probably something that I never focused on that much in the past, that the Juggernaut AI app has helped me be able to do. And we have a special ad read for this, but I wanted to say a funny little ad read for this, but I wanted to save that for future episodes and just give a little real life talk about Juggernaut AI. And like I said, discount code Massenomics to check them out. I don't know, go to the App Store. It works on what iPhones, or what is the alternative on the Google Play Store.
But you also said that the app itself is very well designed and intuitive, right?
Yes, the app itself, like the training and programming is obviously one thing, but like partly the coolest thing to me is just how much I like the app itself. But yeah, you can get that app for iOS or Google Play, or just Google Juggernaut AI. You'll find all about it. Mm-hmm. So thank you, Juggernaut AI, our newest sponsor of the show.
Thank you.
And we got video back.
We got video. Yeah, so depending on who's watching on YouTube and who's listening, the dog laid against the power cable for the recording monitors. So
if it's happened once, it's happened 1,000 times.
He's trying to sabotage us, I think.
He's like, that's enough.
But I think we got it fixed now. So
Okay. The other company I wanted to talk about right away, I saved an email from earlier this week that I liked. It was from Spud Inc, spud-ink-straps.com.
Mr. Ink himself.
Yeah, they're talking about their harnesses. This was Spud talking. He said, we've designed almost a dozen unique harnesses to meet everyone's need. They had a new harness that they're coming out this last week. It was the harness. Actually, no, there was a sale on harnesses. This might be too late for the sale, but I just liked that they gave me a good synopsis of all their harnesses. Their best seller is their deadlift harness. The deadlift harness is a great way to keep getting stronger through the upper body injury that won't allow for traditional deadlifts. Using the deadlift harness takes the grip 100% out of the lift, so you can deadlift with bicep strains, forearm injuries, or shoulder strains that bug you during the pull. Use the deadlift harness for conventional deads, sumo deads, and even good mornings. The deadlift harness works on any bar and even most belt squat machines. If you're not broken, this harness is a great way to change up your accessory work. And then they've also got Strongman harnesses, Charger harness. Their new Charger harness is a great way to get a ton of athletes through conditioning without the hassle of changing sizes and adjusting belts to fit different size athletes. The Charger can be used for forward sprint work, back pedal drills, and even just heavy sled drags. Then they've also got the track harness, the sprinter harness, and several sizes on all of those. So a whole bunch of different harnesses.
Yeah.
And there was a sale on those. That might be over now.
Yeah.
So you may have missed out on the sale.
You know, with our disjointed recording schedule over here.
Just in case the sale still is active, it's harness 15. But I wasn't really reading it for the sale. I liked the good listing of all their different
context
harnesses.
of their problem solving.
Try
in
out
the
harness 15. If it doesn't work, email them a really angry email and tell them you heard it on the Massenomics podcast. So thank you, sponsors.
Thank you.
Tommy, we've got an exciting episode today. We've got a very special guest planned here. Mm-hmm. Super cool one that we've been trying to get for a while. Mr.
A while might even be an understatement on that.
Yeah, for years we've been working on that. We were gone at a powerlifting meet this week, and
we did some road tripping.
Yeah, and we've got a special announcement about next week, something we're coming out with. So we've got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, we do.
Supporting our sporting members. We'll get to that too, I suppose.
Yep, got to have some of that in there.
Yeah. So do we want to talk about our Sioux Falls experience?
Maybe we should talk about that, yeah.
Oh, and you just came back from vacation, too.
I was on vacation, yeah. I went to Miami. I'd never been to Miami. I've been to Florida a few times. I'd never been to Miami, and Miami's really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't really go to like rage and just party nonstop. I went with my wife. She's pregnant at the moment.
My wife.
Yeah. So like staying up till 3 or 4 in the morning and drinking wasn't high on our priority list, but Miami is really cool. They got a whole, we talked about this. We said a lot of towns or cities like to say like, oh, it's a vibe there. They got a vibe, but like Miami definitely has a vibe. Like it kind of actually feels like you're in a different country. Just a lot of places feel like you're in a different country compared to South Dakota, but really going there, it's like, whoa,
it's its own
like
thing.
Everything's different down here. Like nothing is the same. So the beach was good. The weather was good. Food was good. Drinks are good. It was a good trip.
Did you party in the city where the heat was on?
The first night was the most partying I did. I was really, really excited to be there. And the weather's nice and the drinks just start going down. So that was one of those where luckily my wife was like, I think it's time we go back. And it was, I was getting to that point where I was either about to really turn it on and go for like 4 more hours.
All night in the city until the break of dawn.
That's what exactly. I'd have been waking up on the beach probably. But she luckily had my best interests in mind. So I don't think I ever really stayed up past like midnight-ish any day.
So no break of dawn.
No break of dawn. No break of dawn. But it was a lot of fun. I would highly recommend Miami. I would, yeah. Absolutely. Good time.
And you made it back just in time for the Sioux Falls State USAPL.
And that was
literally just in time.
That actually was the biggest stress of the entire trip. This was meant to be kind of like an unwind, relax type vacation, and it was very much that. It was a great time for it. But on the way back, we had just one connecting flight. Was all just a connecting flight in Dallas that would then take us to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And we were going to land. We were going to get to Sioux Falls on Saturday night. There'd be a hotel waiting for us. It was the hotel connected to the USAPL powerlifting meet. So I could just get up in the morning, walk right over, greet you, Tanner, set up the booth, and it'd be perfect. It's going to be perfect. And for whatever reason, there was like a 3.5 hour delay trying to leave the Miami airport. We just sat and waited and waited and waited. Then you got on the plane and you sat and waited and waited and waited. And I'm just like looking at the clock like, man, if things go absolutely perfect, we might make it. But you're like, no, it'll work out. Things always work out.
Yeah,
like, it's always
works
fine.
out, right? Yeah.
And it was very, very tight when we landed. And they got on the plane and said, there's some people with some tight connections. So if you're one of those people, like, let them go, let those people go first. And we got our bags and took off running across the airport. Like, I've never had to like just run across the airport before.
The classic movie scene.
Yeah, I was one of those guys.
Yeah.
And I'm running and you get to the gate and the plane's still there, but the door's closed and you can't. And that is like, I've never had that happen. That's a very defeating feeling.
Yeah.
Like with the plane sitting there and they're like, nope, sorry, you can't do it.
Yeah.
And so then we had to, we caught a flight to Chicago, stayed in Chicago for the night, and then got up early in the morning and finally made it to sunny Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I think I showed up, it was just a little after 10, I think.
Yep.
Meet started at 10. So unfortunately I missed out on setting up the booth, but I didn't miss out on much of the day besides that.
Right. Yeah. Did the meet even started by the time
It had started
it
actually.
Just barely
it
started,
was,
though.
yeah. I think there was like maybe the third, because I mean, the first squat attempt I saw was like 80 pounds. Like there can't be many people below that.
No. Well, the bar weighs 45. So
exactly. That's what there can't be. So I might have missed one attempt before that one. But so then, we got to the meet and it was a fun time.
It was a good meet. Very good meet. We had 5 lifters from Massenomics Gym competing there and several other people from all around the area that we know and have known and lifted with many times over the years. So it's fun to
South
watch
Dakota isn't the biggest state already as far as population goes. So you do a few of these things, you kind of almost like 50% of the people for sure, and there's a good chance the other 25% you've seen before, and then the other 25 is like the new people.
Right, that's true. And it was really cool, really well run meet. Gino was there announcing, of course, so we got to catch up with Gino a little bit since we had him on a few weeks ago, even. And then Big Jonah Leo, who we've had on the podcast a couple times, he is the meet director, runs it, puts it together. He puts on an awesome like presentation there, like it just the way it flows, and
not even that, even for the lifters too.
Yeah,
like as far as warm up room area, platform, all of that.
They played the my interview with Gino as on the big screen. They played like the YouTube clip of me interviewing Gino, like to announce Gino at the beginning of the meet. So that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Didn't know that was coming exactly like that. So that I was like, hey, that's us. That's the Massenomics video up there. So that was cool. And we sold quite a bit of stuff.
We did. It was
more than what we would have guessed. Literally more than what we both guessed we would have.
Yeah, not that we've done a ton of these meets, but we kind of have like an idea of what to expect at a meet, and this one exceeded our expectations. So, but he does a great job at bringing a crowd in too.
There was a really good crowd there, and I think we probably made some new Massenomics supporters, fans, and stuff over our experience there. So that's cool.
Yeah, I was trying to do a rough count on the chairs. Like when we were leaving, I think there was close to like 300 chairs.
Yeah, and they were mostly full for the whole day.
Good chunks of the day. Basically, all of them were full, and there was a lot of people standing too. So, I don't think it's the most common thing in the world to have a local powerlifting meet have 300 spectators.
Right.
I think that's the exception way more than the norm.
Jack and I had left really early from Western Northeast South Dakota on Saturday morning to get there in time to set up, and it was possibly like the most treacherously icy roads I have ever driven on for like a stretch of about 50 some miles.
It was like an episode of Ice Road Truckers.
It was icier than than the pure ice that they drive on an Ice Road Truckers, I'm pretty sure.
It was icier than ice.
On the interstate, I was going 40 for at least 50 miles, 40 to 45, and did not get past once. If that's an indicator of
that is when you really know how things are. And
also almost didn't like Jack woke up one time for a while and was like, where are we? And I'm like, we're on the interstate. And he's like, what? Where are the cars? And I'm like, nobody else is driving in this. Anytime that I would touch the gas pedal, any amount, like if you just want to accelerate from 45 to 50, that amount of that initial feeling when you just accelerate a little bit, any bit of like a slight change in speed, I could literally feel the entire vehicle
Just
shift.
moving.
Yeah. And I was, I actually contemplated pulling over a few different times, and I'm like, I don't know what that gains me, because my hope was we're getting to daybreak and we're also traveling south. Eventually we'll get like,
It just has to get warmer.
well, I'm like, it was like 29 degrees. I need it to be like
32-ish.
And I kept watching my and it just did slowly tick up, and the sun came getting a little higher, and we were making it farther south, and eventually it all we got out of it. Yeah. But it was the iciest road I've probably ever driven on.
And when you said that, I showed up and it was a beautiful
yeah.
spring day.
By the time we got to Sioux Falls, it was great.
Yeah, and I thought, oh man, I can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
So I missed out on that.
And it was also very dense fog.
Yeah.
Extremely dense fog.
Which just adds to the
Yeah.
fun too.
Well, I mean, if someone was crashed in front of me, there's no, like, even if they're like a mile in front of me, it would have been like,
there's no way. It's
like if you even it was so icy, if you knew they were out there like a mile, it'd be almost like the Austin Powers scene where you're just standing there screaming for a long time because
on
I'm
the
like,
steamroller.
I've been braking for a mile. Like I'd love to stop.
Nothing can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was, as far as the day, it was a good day. And yeah, like you said, I think we got to get in front of a lot of people that we had.
Luckily, I'm a professional
You
driver.
are. You are a professional driver.
Throw back
That's
to
been
the
stated.
YouTube.
That has been stated before. But we got to meet some people at the meet that we had never seen before.
Yep.
That I think were either unfamiliar or had never heard of Massenomics or were unfamiliar with us, that I think we made a pretty good connection with. So
Yeah.
should be just reaping the rewards of that for years to come.
Yep. Absolutely.
And then on the way back, Tanner, there was also another surprise when we went into the parking lot with your trailer.
Oh,
So this parking lot has kind of maybe we should say you just have bad luck in this parking lot.
Yeah.
The last time you parked there,
The last powerlifting meet I went to there, the Sioux Falls, I think the Sioux Falls Canaries are now the Sioux Falls Pheasants.
I think you might be right.
They stole
Yeah.
the Aberdeen Pheasants name,
did.
actually, is what they did there.
Yeah.
Because it was the semi-professional, or would you say, I think they're semi-professional.
I don't know what the actual
or if
term
you call
is.
them amateur, what they used to be. The Aberdeen local baseball team when I was growing up was the Aberdeen Pheasants, and they had like a history of being here for like
40 years.
Yeah, a long time.
Didn't some pretty big MLB players play?
I think
back
so.
like
Actually,
in the 60s?
they came through the.
Who did they? I'm trying to remember. There was some big names that came through, like in the
Through the Pheasants,
Like
yeah.
I think in the 50s and 60s.
And the Sioux Falls team was always the Canaries, and then the Aberdeen Pheasants, they quit playing like 20 years ago, probably, if not more than that. And since somewhere in the mid-time, the Sioux Falls team switched, they stole the Pheasants name, which smart move because that's a lot.
That's way better.
Yeah, it's a lot better than the
So, they
Canaries
call
name.
the stadium. They call the stadium
birdcage, isn't it?
the
or something?
cockpit. No,
Oh, the cockpit.
no.
Oh, okay.
Made that up.
Because it used to be it was
know.
the bird cage, but it could still make sense. But so I was parked by the bird cage, but not like outside the outfield. I was like,
Well, plus, let's remember that when this happened to you the first time.
Oh, it was like
the second
March.
week of March.
Yeah.
and it was what 30 degrees
Right.
outside.
And anyway, so I walk out. Windshield is obliterated. Baseball went through hit like the dead center of the windshield. The
And
whole
this is
thing.
a Buick we're talking about here.
No, it
This-
was my pickup.
Oh, it was your
Yeah,
pickup? Oh, I thought it was
yeah.
the Buick that happened on.
Or was it?
I could be wrong.
I think it was my pickup.
Okay, for some
Maybe
reason,
it was the Buick.
in my mind, I always pictured the
I
Buick with the
actually
shattered
can't. It's
windshield.
funny, like thinking about the story. I can't remember the process of
vehicle?
getting it fixed or anything like that. All I remember is the feeling when I came out, and then
there's
the
just-
baseball was like there on the ground too. So it happened recently, and then like a couple not players, but like who knows? It was like the manager or somebody. Two guys from the Canaries came out like as I'm just discovering this, and they're like, "Oh, sorry about that," and I was mad, of course. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, we could get you some free tickets or something like that. And I'm like, I literally
And
go,
risk breaking this again.
yeah. And I go, I don't want tickets. I want a new windshield. And they're like, sorry. And then walked away. Of like, probably I would have too,
Yeah, like I better get out of here
Yeah.
before something bad happens.
before I get chastised. And
so
That's it.
So this time we go out and you have the trailer parked there.
Yeah.
And was it Jack that noticed, or did
yeah,
you?
Jack noticed right away.
The fender of the trailer is actually touching the tire.
Yeah, someone had ran into it and like smashed the fender and cut through the fender like a pop can, basically, like through an aluminum pop can.
Yeah, so where it's like a sharp point
Yeah.
against the tire.
Yeah.
Which that was annoying, and yeah, it sucks for your trailer, but you took the trailer hitch and you bent it back,
I
and
bent
it was
so because it was very sharp and jagged and like very close to like it was actually on the tire for like we weren't going to be able to drive at all without it popping, and it got it bent away enough that it's fine now, and it's not that big of a deal, but it's just like every one of those things that happen. I'm like, I don't want my stuff to look like crap. You know, like,
and there's that, and then also the question of that was some major or some I shouldn't say major. That was some decent damage to like a thick metal fender.
Yeah.
What does that other person's vehicle look like right now?
Yeah.
Like that had to have popped a hole in the side of the body and like ripped it, right?
Yeah, I would think. I mean, it could have been depending on what it hit it, and where's the bumper. Maybe it didn't do that much.
Oh, I guess maybe if it
like
caught
that.
the bumper,
Yeah.
but still, it had to have done some damage.
But the person didn't leave a note or anything like that. Of course, they're like, "I'm out of here."
It was a hit and run, classic case.
Then on the way back, I got a rock chip in my windshield too, but I got that fixed already.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, good for you. On top of that,
Yep.
so
that was our trip.
that was
overall
Sioux Falls
good
trip. Yeah, a lot of
Overall
fun.
good trip.
What do we got next on the list here?
This is kind of old. You know, our recording schedule's a little different, so we kind of missed the whole slap thing. Like we're at a point in time where we didn't we recorded like right before the slap thing, so we kind of missed that. So we probably don't have to talk about
as
that.
far as current events go, the slap. Yep, totally missed out on that one.
And then the other thing that happened though in the lifting world is Louie Simmons passed away. Like in between, like we had just recorded with Jim Wendler.
I think it'd been within hours of us recording that. Hadn't it?
I think so. So that's why if you listen to the Wendler episode, we didn't mention it with him. You might have thought, why didn't you? It's weird you didn't talk about that, and that's why, because we had just recorded with him prior to finding out about that. So obviously that's a big deal in the lifting world. You know,
so big of a deal that the gym video moved from pumping iron back to West Side.
We had just got pumping iron, and we had to put we've had West Side on ever since, and I don't know what that's. The powerlifting scene is probably never quite the same without Louie Simmons, and even especially specifically West Side is definitely not the same without without Louie Simmons.
Curious what happens over there now.
I don't know. That's a good question.
It wasn't always.
I don't know if there's anyone that affected powerlifting as much as Louie Simmons has. Probably. Yeah, I'd say like if you had to pick one person that's maybe had the biggest effect on powerlifting over like the last 30 years, I would probably guess it's him. I don't really know.
I'm trying to think of who else would even be.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to think of.
Yeah. I don't think there is. I mean, and I don't know if there ever will be anyone either too, that has that much of a influence over the entire thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know who else would.
Yeah.
I mean, it is him. That's the reason we all wear squat suits now, right?
Well, not exactly that. And then, how much do we want to talk about? We've got something coming up next week. Do we want to talk about that at all? Or are we even specifically talking about those? Stuff?
I guess we can say we have a drop coming, right? Okay. And it shouldn't be next week. It's this week, right? As of listening to this.
Yeah, right. Thursday of the, unless you're listening live right now, if you're in the Discord crew, then we're a week ahead of you, but if you're listening to this, it'd be Thursday. We have a big drop coming, and I would say it's kind of a big drop, right?
It is. Discord has some good things going on. There is 2 brand new, never before seen upper body items.
Yeah, and one of them. I mean, really, I am excited about both of them, but one of them's particularly funny.
Yes,
for reasons.
Yes, for reasons.
Yeah,
I mean, they're both funny for reasons.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, if you were looking for the serious items in this drop, they're not there. But you could say we did some outside the box thinking on this one.
Yeah.
I think people are going to be. Kind of surprised.
I think so
for one
too.
of these items.
One of these ones. If you've been a long time, I'd say this: if you've been a long time, if you're in the Massenomics ecosphere, one of these things particularly plays to you.
Actually, to the point where someone that's just became a follower of Massenomics in the last year.
They'd be like, I don't know what this is.
No goddamn sense at all.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know.
But to some of you, you will be like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. I need 2 of them now.
Yeah. So I'm really excited for that. And there's also some items that aren't directly related to t-shirts. So there's a good mix in this. I think it's going to be a really fun drop.
Yes. Do we need the can? Should we can it up?
Well,
Is this like segment?
This isn't a what's in the can.
Oh, it's not okay.
This is just a refreshment because you know what I realized the last episode we got done recording, Jim Wendler episode, we never opened a can. We had a can here. We did the whole episode.
That's why I was so thirsty.
Yeah, we did a whole episode without drinking anything.
So today we've got a Polar Lime, calorie free,
One of the all-time
but not
classics.
enjoyment free.
It's enjoyment heavy.
Yeah. Someone said, "Quick update the spreadsheet." That reminds me. I'll talk about that after our guest here. There's
Okay. Yeah, but
some stuff
on
going
that
on.
topic, the Discord has been incredibly active lately.
yeah, very active community.
It's just every week I think it's as active as it can get, and then it gets more active the next week.
Well, and that speaking of the Discord community, that leads us well into supporting our supporting members segment of the show, and this is a relatively new segment where so we have our supporting members. They choose to support the Massenomics podcast monetarily, and we'd love to have more of you do that. It's what helps us. What does it help us do?
Everything.
That helps us do everything.
Just everything.
Yeah, that helps us do all of this.
Live.
Really. Yeah. Afford
Get out of bed in the
waters.
morning.
Yeah.
Rate,
Yes.
Big David said rate Polar Lime. I'm pretty sure
I'd give it a 4.
I have yet to meet a lime where I can't give it a 4. So.
Yeah, I'd give it a 4. So supporting our supporting member. Anyways, this is our chance to give back to some of those people a little bit for anything that they did recently that we find noteworthy and that we catch wind of. This week particularly, there's several people that recently competed, several support members that competed, so I want to mention those. But first, I even want to mention shout out to Big Chris, supporting member Big Chris, for being instrumental in lining up Robert Oberst for this week's interview. He harassed him just long enough that he even thought that Chris was Massenomics and gave him his phone number and said, "Fine, leave me alone. I'll do it."
That's actually maybe the funniest thing about that. He's like, okay, no one would bother me this much on behalf of someone. You have to be the guy, but no.
And then other supporting members, we had Matthias Cash just competed. He weighed some pretty impressive numbers here. He weighed in at 164 pounds. He squatted 551,
Nice.
benched 331, and deadlifted 650 for a 1532 total.
God.
9 for 9, a 501 dots.
That's really good.
That is very strong. Then we had big Midwest Jake from State Farm. This was his first ever meet, so that's always fun when it's someone hasn't
Got
done
the first one in the
before.
books.
Yep. He squatted 410, benched 307, so he cracked the 300 mark there, and deadlifted 518. So he broke the 435 and totaled 1235.
Yeah.
Then we had a couple of Massenomics Gym guys that are actually supporting members who we happen to watch compete this weekend. We had Big Mason, who put up a 575 squat, a 402 bench, and a 606 deadlift for a 1583 total.
Yeah. And his deadlift, I think there's a lot more
he could have
there.
done 50 more pounds than that.
Yep.
And he just missed like a 600-pound squat, too, that he really was close to getting. And then Big Caden also competed this weekend.
First
it was
meet ever.
his first meet. Yep. He squatted 545. He also benched 402. And then he pulled a 589-pound deadlift PR on his third. And he totaled 1536. So
Great
good
totals.
stuff from those guys. A lot of supporting members to support and return this week, wasn't there?
There are. And you also, this is kind of a conflict of interest now that we have Juggernaut as a...
I coached someone.
But Tanner, you
Yeah.
did do an 8-week peak for someone, and they had their PR of their life.
The first person that I kind of did coach. I did his programming for him. And
we're talking about Larry Legend.
Larry Legend, I helped him out with his programming. He wanted some help, and I helped him out with that. And then I helped him out with his attempt selection the day of the meet. I did it for him. He's the type of person who does better when he doesn't have to
Think about as many variables.
And
when he can just lift.
Did that, and he ended up totaling 1520 with a meet squat PR of 567, I think. Bench 370, and an enormous deadlift PR of 584.
Yeah, and so this is
like a 54-pound total
what
PR.
makes this even more remarkable is
He's 45.
Larry's 45. He's probably done
20 meets.
20 meets, and he just had the biggest his body weight, nothing has changed. You just gave him an 8-week prep, and he had like a 50-pound total PR, squat PR, and a deadlift PR.
His last 10 consecutive meets prior to this one, he opened on squat, and it's funny if you look on Open Powerlifting, he opened on squat every single meet at 501.5.
Really?
And opened on deadlift every single of the last 10 meets at 501.5.
Really?
Every single one. Really? 10 in a row. If you look down the line, it's just a column
amazing.
of it.
So you got him out of his rut.
Yep.
And
opened higher on both of those.
Maybe actually the biggest accomplishment is you took a guy who is notoriously been a better squatter, like can actually squat more than he deadlifts, and you made his deadlift kind of blow past his squat to the point
also
where
by deadlifting almost less, like by not deadlifting very much.
You just flipped it all on.
It was more like let's not work, like the strategy and going into that is like you always worry about your deadlift. Let's not worry about the deadlift. We're just going to do a little bit of deadlifting here and focus on some other things. And
his deadlift looks and went the best it's ever gotten in his whole life.
Yeah.
To the point where his third attempt was probably 20 pounds too low.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was really exciting.
That was. Should we read ads now or get to our guest first? And
then, we can read one ad quick.
Okay, yeah, let's do one.
Today's show is brought to you by Texas Power Bars. Buddy Caps first started lifting weights in the late 60s and began powerlifting in the mid-70s. At the time, he was working for Image Barbell, building gym equipment. Around 1976, a local machine shop started making Olympic bars for them, calling it the Image Bar. In 1977, Image Barbell became Champion Barbell. It was then that Buddy started looking at the bars with an intent of changing them for the better. In 1979, Buddy bought his first lathe to begin addressing the known issues. In 1980, his passion, drive, and purpose now had a greater mission. Buddy set out on his own to make what he believed was the greatest bar he'd ever seen and trained with, and the Texas Power Bar was born. It was strong as a house with the best knurling and was maintenance-free. Hundreds of state, national, international, and world powerlifting records have been and continue to be set and broken on the Texas Power Bar. To learn more about Texas Power Bars and buy one of their legendary bars, visit texaspowerbars.com.
Thank you, Texas Power Bars.
Thank you.
One more supporting shout out to Big Mike. It's a recently new supporting member. He said it's his first live podcast on the Discord crew. So welcome to the crew. And now
like,
goodbye.
And just like that, we're leaving.
Now it's gone.
All right.
All right. Should we get Big Rob on the phone?
Let's do it.
Okay. This is exciting, isn't it?
It is.
We're just banging out so many good.
Every day is exciting
Yes.
when you're talking about Massenomics.
That's what I tell my wife every day. Make sure I call the right person. Also, my wife.
My wife.
Hello.
Big Rob, is that you?
Yeah, what's up?
How's it going? You're live on the podcast, the Massenomics podcast with Tanner and Tommy.
What's up, Robert?
What's up, boys? How you guys doing?
We're doing great.
We're good. We're excited to get you on.
Yeah, I know. It's been back and forth it's got to be over a year by now, right?
Yeah, we were talking about that. That's all right. All good things take time.
It builds the anticipation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like the worst because I'm always busy and I'm always high when I'm home, so I forget everything.
What? Busy and high. That's kind of a deadly combo there.
Busy and high. I mean, you need a good girl to hold things down.
Yeah.
So like I get home and she's like, "You're leaving in 20 minutes to go back to Dallas." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" You know, like. So she makes sure that I'm where I'm supposed to be. But
it does.
We haven't moved into the phase. I think we got to do is move into where she's handling my phone calls too. Obviously.
Yep. We had Jim Wendler on the podcast last week, and that's kind of. It seems like I think his wife does handle his. She does that part of it for him even too. So that is that is the next step.
Yeah, it's a good move. I mean, I think a good solid 15 years of concussions from football and then all the bong water on top of it.
It's the perfect storm.
That's exactly right. You know, sooner or later, I'm gonna think I'm Benjamin Button. I'm gonna start acting really weird.
Well, so you were talking about going between home and Dallas and stuff. It seems like you're a lot of places all the time. Like where is home and where? I mean, it seems like you're going places always.
I'm rocking and rolling, man. That's really the only way to make money in this industry. I'm in Dallas right now, actually, pacing naked in my hotel room, waiting for them to keep trying to kick me out. I was supposed to leave an hour ago, but my flight's not till 6, so I'm staying.
I assume if housekeeping walks in and you're standing there naked, they're just going to close the door and walk out.
Maybe, but if you guys hear me arguing in Spanish, to turn off the record button.
Okay, deal.
Cool. Yeah, I travel all the time. I'm a road warrior, man. Like I have a place in Texas outside of San Antonio in the Bronx, which is where like my clothing company and demo ranch and all that stuff that I work with is. And then I spend all the rest of my time in Idaho, and the 2 really good states to be in at this time, you know. And then I'm building a ranch. I'm putting a hunting facility up, and it's going to be like training facility for kids. And my girl, she taught handgun safety for women for about, I think, 12 years. So we're going to have her doing that and stuff like that. But being on the road, man, that's really part of the gig.
That's cool. We're in South Dakota. That's where we're from, and that's where we live. You almost need to get a spot here and have like the perfect triangle of like that South Dakota would be right up your alley in some ways, I think.
I think it'd be perfect. You guys have a great governor. But oh wait, no, is that North Dakota that's got the?
No, you know that's South Dakota you're talking about. Nobody knows who North Dakota's governor is.
Okay, well you guys do have a great governor. Every time I see her talking stuff, I'm like, man, I wish Brad Little was like that. But that's what I've been telling people lately. I've been telling everyone. I was like, man, with the amount of people, like people talk a lot about how people moved to Texas over the last couple of years, but the number one state that had growth was Idaho. Yeah. Like my little spot in Idaho, I think it tripled in value, which is like, hey, that's great, but I would much rather everybody have just moved to Dakota with you guys. You know?
They talk about that people are moving here too, or like it's one of the ones on the list, but I don't think we notice it.
I have noticed it. Actually, I think the census stuff came out, and like I think our county actually shrunk, and we're like the 3rd biggest county in the state. So I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, you're going to be the last line. You're gonna be the last
it's too cold here, honestly.
The weather's just brutal. Yeah. That like weeds out 99% of people instantly.
Like if you're from California and you come here, there's no way you're going to you make it one winter and be like, no, that was a terrible idea.
No. But I mean, if you guys had like a big city somewhere for people to like, I mean, Toronto is packed full of that kind of person, you know? So like people can deal with the cold as long as, you know, you've got them liquored up and you've got some type of like, I don't know, protagonist on a stage telling them that their like plight is, you know, undeniable. But with that, you guys just don't allow any big city building and you'll be good. Like you can stop it.
Happen.
Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about it.
You'd like the hunting here though too.
The biggest thing I learned about in the last couple of years is how powerless we are. Like that's the most frustrating thing for me. Is I feel like I control my life, you know? Like I haven't had anyone to tell me what to do since I was like 14. And so like now with all of this, you can do this, you can't do that. And like two of my sisters cut hair and I watched them, you know, have to worry about losing a house and all that stuff. Luckily I was able to help, but like all that kind of stuff, man, it freaked me out with how little power we have.
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate here, I guess, that like whatever, you know, more of that stuff is just stuff we saw in the news than like experience personally, you know, for the most part. So it's just so much more isolated here that, you know, so much less populated that a lot of that stuff just didn't apply in the same way, I guess.
It's a good spot to be. I mean, that's why a lot of people people are moving to places like that.
But
I don't know how I forced us into this conversation.
Well,
so don't feel weird changing the subject.
No, but I was
going to
say what you'd like about South Dakota is the hunting, though. I know you do a lot of big game stuff. Like, do you ever do any bird hunting? Like, our county is kind of the pheasant capital of the world.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
no, I got to come out for sure. That's one of the main things about the property. So, like, I have investors and stuff, and what they want out of the property mostly is fowl hunting. You know, it's longer season. It's kind of it's a great draw for corporate gigs and stuff like that.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fun, man. I didn't realize how fun it was. Like I haven't got a chance to hunt as much as I'd wanted to because the hunting season that's key strongman time.
Right.
So it's been 10 years of me watching my friends hunt and like, next year maybe. And so I got to go out this last season quite a bit, and it was my first time duck hunting. And fuck, man, it was a blast. Just so much fun sitting there. You know, you're just hanging out with your buds, having a beer, getting to eat and talk and sit. Like, it's like, that's a strongman style of hunt. Eat. I think I had a milkshake one of the days. Like,
yeah, that's my kind of hunting.
Lots of equipment and eating for like a few seconds of activity. Yeah, it is.
Right, but your activity is literally stand up, shoot, tell the dog to go get it while you grab another thing to eat.
While you grab another pack of beef jerky.
It's awesome. It is awesome. I loved duck hunting, man. And we did in Idaho, we got a lot of snow geese and Canadian geese and stuff like that. And I took my son out, and it was officially his first hunt. He's 6, and he's like obsessed with albino animals right now. Like, he's just so obsessed with them. Like, every time he sees a white anything, like, that cat's albino. You know? But we did some hunting, man. And I think we only were there for about 2 hours, and 7 of us limited out. Like, it was amazing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Lots of fun.
So you got a lot, like we were talking about, a lot of different stuff going on, but one thing you've been kind of kickstarting again is your Mad Ramblings podcast. How's that going? Do you enjoy podcasting? I mean, I know you've like gone full force into YouTube for quite a while. How do you like the podcast compared to that?
I like the podcast a lot more, actually. Like, I feel I have a lot more leadway. Some of the things I say, and this will not be a surprise to you guys, some of the things I say can be offensive and can catch people, in this, like, I have to defend my ideas against what you're saying, and when they listen to me speak for more than just a short little clip, they realize, like you could tell I'm a human. I'm a dad. Like, I love people. I don't have, I don't have a bunch of animosity or like any of that kind of stuff. Like, even when I talk about people moving to my states and taking over stuff, it's like kind of jovial. Like, honestly, I would never not want them to have an opportunity to go somewhere better. Right. So, like, I think when you have a podcast, they can connect with the parts of you that are kind of displaced with other media. And, YouTube's better. It's just YouTube fucks with me too much. So YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, I don't use Facebook as much as I should, but they fucking hate me.
Well, Instagram is like hiding you right now. I can't even we couldn't even find, unless you type in your name perfectly and like with no spaces, you won't even come up.
I know. and people tell me, like, oh, shadow banning is it's like a conspiracy theory and all that. And I'm like, all right, like, I can tell you, like, my whole financial, like, my revenue input and all that kind of stuff, everything I make gets graphed, and my tax guy graphs it and sees, and like my internet guy tells me who's coming from where. Like, all of my stuff is super tracked. and I can see the difference from like when I was posting stuff before and when I'm posting stuff now. Like I have more followers than ever, but I have so few of them who get to see my stuff. And it's the same on YouTube. I messed up. Like I didn't realize YouTube hated guns as much as they do. And so like filming the people I work with like are all big gun people. So, you know, I was like, why not do some videos on that? So I did a few of those, and then that put me in the shit house with them really bad. And it's like I'm creating a new channel to have like more wild stuff and do different things that I don't have to worry about. My old channel will be more for lifting,
Right?
But I don't know if any of that's gonna matter. Like I don't know. I don't see myself ever not being shadow banned again. It's like you can't disagree with a fucking tyrant, you know.
Well, that's what we talk about too. It's like, oh, you don't like Instagram or YouTube. It's like, okay, your option is either do it or don't do it.
Right,
Like,
yeah,
you can't really fight
exactly.
the system.
What are you gonna do? Like go back to MySpace?
Right.
Yeah.
No.
It is what it is, man. Honest, it's like I used to stress out a lot about this. Like when the fucking pandemic was real and all that stuff was going on, like my family had a lot of issues and a whole bunch of stuff was crazy. And I stressed out like a lot because I was taking care of my entire family, like 10 brothers and sisters and my mom, my dad, everybody. And like while taking care of everyone because everyone else can't work, like watching my income get smaller and smaller and smaller every week, every month. And so like there are people out there that are truly affected by censorship. And like, it's not just, you know, like I hate on both sides, there's this thing now where it's like cool to only talk political shit now. And it's like people's whole existence online became all about their side. Like they went from being like, I make underwater basket weaving amazing to like
I'm an
the
expert
fucking
on
Nazis are taking over. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. And it's like that's the only thing they've got now. And I didn't want to become that guy, but I also didn't want to bullshit, and I didn't want to I'm a hardhead. And like I said, nobody's been able to tell me what to do since I was like 15. So as soon as they were like, you have to do all this, you can't do this, I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to do that. Like I have to. Like you just came into like my beautiful free country and told me I'm not allowed to do what I was like, what the Constitution says I was given, like born, my God-given born rights. Like you can't say no to that. So I fucked up. I shouldn't have been silly about stuff, but you know, it is what it is. And at this point, like, who knows? Maybe fucking Elon Musk is gonna save us all.
The last hope.
Dude, we're all praying on a South African to save us right now, and it's like this a South African fucking like evil genius type of character. like that guy. Like if Dr. Evil was like a real person, like he could totally be Elon Musk.
Well, and speaking of Elon Musk, what?
Well, did you put an order in for a Cybertruck?
I did. I'm at the point now where I'm sick of waiting, and like I've got two of my family members now. Like they work at Tesla, which is an amazing company, and they can have like actual rights and all that stuff. It's kind of like America 3 years ago, and so I was able to get like a little bit of a family discount and all that stuff. So I was looking at stuff, and I love the Cybertruck. I think it's really cool. Reminds me of you guys ever see Demolition Man with Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone?
Yeah. Yes, I have. Yeah.
It looks like it's straight out of that to me. And so to me, I'm all about it, but it's been taken forever, and there's no real, like, you can't get anyone to tell you anything real when you call or try to talk to anybody.
So there's like no timeline or anything like that you've been
no
given,
real timeline. You can read other people's opinions online, and they're all over the place, but like it doesn't mean nothing. Like nobody from Tesla will tell you anything specific. And so I mean, I'm looking at probably getting a new Tundra. I don't know. I got my little brother works at Toyota now in Tennessee, and so was thinking about, just to support him, snagging him, but a Tundra. I leased the truck I have now for tax purposes. It's easier to write off a lease, and so with the lease being up soon, I think I'm actually going to buy a Tundra. I don't know if I'm going to wait for a. What do you guys think about the truck though? Like everybody's super one way or the other. Nobody's like,
I'm actually probably one of the few people that I am kind of in the middle on. Like, I mean, I would love to see it I'd love to actually see people get it and see what it's like. That's the hard thing with any product that's not out. It's hard to be objective about it,
Yeah.
Like, we're definitely in big pickup country
was,
here. Like everyone drives a pickup. Like they're everywhere that you see. But I think it looks cool.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with electric vehicles at all. I think electric vehicles are really cool. I'd like to see more of them. They're
cool
pretty rare
too,
around
like
here right
that
now.
one, you can get the 3 engines on that one and have one, charge up last you 600 miles, which is one of the big draws for me. Like I love the automatic driver. Like that's one more thing. Now my girl's in charge of phone calls and everything else, and the car's in charge of driving. Like it's fucking perfect.
Yeah.
But with the car, like the 600 miles and all that stuff. And I talked to Rogan about it, is what I was going to say. And he said the interior is actually made for someone over 7 feet. Like you can reach over 7 feet in the interior. So
which is rare.
Trucks are just new trucks are just so enormous in general. But the crazy thing about all these electric vehicles is so many of them now you have like, it's going to be the point pretty soon here where everyone can buy an electric vehicle that goes 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds or less. Like everyone's driving like these road missiles around, which is insane.
They are gnarly too. Like I drove the Tesla a little while ago, and like I said earlier, I had a lot of concussions from football. I played O-line forever. And then like I did a music video with a friend of mine named Granger Smith, and it's called Holler. If you ever want to look at it on YouTube, it's a fun video. Okay. Really good song too. It's my son's favorite song right now. But country music, just a heads up. And so we were rednecking around on his property, and I flipped a side-by-side, a souped-up side-by-side. I cracked my head open. Like, I didn't fit in it, so my head was sticking out already, and I had another concussion, and it took me like a day and a half before I could remember my son's birthday again. And so, like, that last one, I was like, you know what, I'm done with any kind of head trauma whatsoever. I'm not gonna, like I do a lot of fun shit. Like I was in Jamaica and jumped off a rock into the ocean that was like 130 feet up and shit like that. And I in one moment I was like, all of that's done. You won't catch me fucking around like a wild kid anymore in any kind of way that can have some kind of head trauma. So like if like I have a 4-wheeler, I take hunting and I putter along slow as fuck. I wear a helmet, all that shit. Like I'm already really worried about, brain trauma and all that stuff. And you see, I don't want to, who's that fucking guy from New England that shot that dude in the face and then buried the other people and all that shit. And, it was like Warren Moon that killed himself and Junior Seau. Like,
right. Yeah.
The mental with all that stuff it's fucked. And we already live in a situation where like your mental game's being tested,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, hey, what
for me, all that craziness is done. But when I drove one of those a long time ago, when I hit the gas, like I fucking smacked my head against the back of the seat.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. I was astonished at how fast it was. Like, it was astonishing. It was no, and everyone said this everyone's heard a million times, like, oh, there's no rev up, there's da-da-da. Like, but when you're sitting in the car and you put your foot on the gas pedal and it's going 60 before you've had a breath, it's like, Jesus.
Yeah, it's one thing to say it, but it's different to experience it, right?
Yeah. So the guy who owned it started crying while I was driving.
Stop.
He crawled up in his seat, like was standing in his seat, tucked down, like holding his knees to his chest. and started crying. And I drove through, I think, 3 blocks. That was it, like 3 blocks.
What were your thoughts on the fight, the boxing match?
I was disappointed. Obviously, I was pulling for Ed. I don't have any real beef with Thor. Like, I watched him grow and change, and then he came back, and now I feel like Thor's kind of collected himself and become like a real good man. I feel that. Like, I feel like Thor right now is different than Thor was when 2017 happened, when all that bullshit. I feel like he's grown so much. And so, like, I'm not a hater of Thor or anything. Like, I don't know how he feels about me, just being honest. I don't think he hates me. I don't know whether or not he likes me. I think I don't know. It's hard to tell. But to me, I feel like he's a good man, and I feel like he's grown a lot in the last what's that 5 years? Right, in the last 5 years. And like, I wouldn't have any issue hanging out, like, and training or just shoot the shit with him. I have no issue whatsoever. But watching the fight, I wanted Ed to do well. I wanted Ed to win. He's my boy. And then was disappointed that it didn't go well, but that's the thing about sport. Like, Thor was way better prepared. Like, Ed was in there cocked and ready to knock somebody out, and Thor was prepared to deflect that, survive, and then push forward. Like, it was not an immaculate display. It was a really good display from Thor on what actual, like, training and work can do versus like Eddie did cardio. Eddie worked. Eddie didn't not work. That's not what I'm saying. But Eddie worked on, like, the big punch, Thor worked on, like, being a boxer, and you could see the difference. Like, it was, I think it's a good lesson for people out there watching that want to be athletes. Like, that's the perfect fucking lesson. Like, yeah, you can train for 2 years and work your ass off on that punch, but if that punch doesn't fucking land, then where are you? Or you could train for 2 years on the whole game and make sure your feet are light and your hands are light and you know how to use a combination. Like, my right hand doesn't come down until it's ready to strike. All that kind of stuff that you could see Thor had figured out. I think that's good for young athletes. And I thought it was a good fight. It was interesting. I'd hoped that they weren't going to gas out, right? Because that would have been the worst. Because 2 years of prep, and then these big boys go out there and gas out in a round. I would have been embarrassed. And so I was really happy to see them both last the whole fight, to see them both pushing action the whole fight. I think it was entertaining. I think it was more entertaining than anyone would have imagined it would have been. What do you guys think?
I think, like, your breakdown on the two guys individually, that's pretty much exactly what we said. I mean, I think it shows, boxing is really hard. It's its own sport. And, like, they both looked pretty good. And that's with, like, two good athletes, like, it's obvious Thor spent, like, 2 years, like, seriously training for boxing. Mm-hmm. And it still shows, like, that's a really hard sport. He could train for 10 more and, just keep getting better each year.
Yeah, like, there's no doubt that these guys are top tier athletes, and, they spent 2 years and a lot of time. And then you see these other guys that are on TV and how quick and easy they move. And you're like, wow, like, there are levels to this for sure.
Right.
Oh yeah. Just go watch Canelo fight or something,
Right.
Or even other levels, like Conor McGregor was not a boxer. Like, he's an MMA fighter, but when you see him fight Floyd, it was like, wow, like, okay, like, you can tell this guy, there's little things in fighting that mean so much, like rotation of the hand, which way your toes pointing, which foot you step with, how many centimeters, like literal centimeters, are you comfortable with the glove missing your face by? All these kind of things that, like, man, that's, a lifetime. It took Floyd a lifetime to be who he is. And for the big boys to do what they did, I feel like I don't think there's any shame in it whatsoever
No.
for either of them.
Right.
I felt like, and that I did not think was going to happen. I was like, there's no way somebody's not being completely embarrassed right now. Like, and I guess some people have been saying that Eddie was embarrassed because he was outclassed, but I guess if you went into it thinking like these guys should be professional boxers, then
Right.
I guess you could
Yeah,
say
that shouldn't be
Eddie,
the expectation, right? Yeah.
No. I think Eddie did and showed exactly what he prepared for. Like he had that fucking who's that mean Glover guy? What's his fucking name? There's this old boxer who used to do exactly what Eddie was doing, where he gives you like the side of the shoulder to aim at, and he fucking keeps his right cocked like old timey style. Like that's something that I can't remember the boxer, but there's a boxer who used to do that not too long ago, like in the mid 90s, late 90s, and he was very successful at it. So I think what we saw was Eddie committed to his plan, and that plan just wasn't the right plan. And so to me, I mean, again, of course, I'm fucking biased as all shit. Like I'm not, there's no way anybody would take my opinion without like a pound of salt.
Right.
But from watching and from being like someone who's grown up watching boxing and stuff, and like I was super lucky as a kid. I got to hang out with George Foreman a couple times and stuff, and like I was obsessed with him. And my last boxing match I ever watched, like for maybe 10 years, was when Tyson bit Holyfield's ear off. And like my mom and dad were like, "We're done with this," and like we all stopped watching the fights at the house, you know. So, but to me, I felt like I had a good eye for it, or at least a decent eye for it, and they both worked hard and came out with their game plans, and I think the right game plan was the one that was successful.
Yeah, I think that's right. What talking about Eddie? What about the World's Strongest Nation going on? When is that? And
oh man, I am gonna embarrass his ass like Thor. Is what I'm gonna say so much shit. I'll be like, I'm gonna knock your ass out. I'm gonna do my best to make him feel terrible in front of 20,000 people.
So is that in
the UK? It's in I believe it's Liverpool. I have to double check, but it's the day after Thanksgiving, and it's kind of like our Grand Prix. So Eddie wanted to come back and do something, but you know, like with this, we do USA versus UK. We pick teams, and we're going to do. Eddie and I will be going head to head, and I believe right now we have settled on 2 events. I don't know which events, but I think we're going to do 2 events head to head, and then we would pick. We haven't quite exactly divvied all of it out yet. So what it's looking like is we will pick 5 or 6 people for our team, and then we will go out there and, you know, send out a soldier to do the stones or send out some, you know, that kind of thing. And so, but Eddie will most certainly be actually competing. So like a lot of people are saying like he's not going to compete. Like, yes, he is. He's going to compete, and he's going to go head to head with me. And so I'm super excited. It's the day after Thanksgiving, and I think it's kind of weird spending Thanksgiving in the UK.
Yeah, do they have turkeys there?
Yeah, do they observe the day?
they pretend that time existed. Like the first like 1776 to 1876, right? Like that 100 years doesn't exist, bro. And it's a very 2022 thing to have like a revisionist history, you know? And so, no, I don't think they have any kind of Thanksgiving, but I'm not a big holiday guy anyways. Like I grew up, my family was gypsies growing up, and we were very poor. And so like really the only holiday we ever celebrated was Christmas. And that was because my mom made my dad do it. And, you know, like I don't get hung up on days like,
right.
So what I do is kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of weird, but so say whatever's coming up, Christmas or Easter, even on my son's birthday, what I do is like a little bit before, I make sure that I do something nice for them so they know that this has nothing to do with your birthday. This is like a month before your birthday, right? So like I'll do something. And then I make sure, like, yes, of course, on the day you happy birthday song, all the cheesy stuff. My kid's 6. Like, I'm not gonna not talk to him. But, oh yeah. But then I make sure that like so say they get a present or something like that on the day. Like even on Christmas, I try and do like just like one thing instead of this pile of stuff. And then, you know, like the next day we go for an adventure or we go do something or whatever. Like my kid, his favorite thing to do now is we have this hill of snow in Idaho where it's just like they keep it packed icy, and you take a little escalator up the hill and then slide down on an inner tube, and we will do that for I think we did it for like 6.5 hours the other day. And it's like he's excited sprinting up the hill every time. So I want him, and I want I hope I have more children, but the people that I care about in my life, I feel like I have a nice opportunity to show them that like those days it's kind of a farce. Like if I love my son, how come I don't treat him like he's special on other days? And just like fucking February 14th is what it's called, Valentine's Day. Like that's a literal invented holiday just to get fucking money.
I was gonna say everything is commercial. Like it all is commercialized 100%. Like no doubt about it.
I don't want to be like, you guys ever watch Seinfeld?
Oh yeah, yep.
I don't want to be like, you know, the celebrating Festivus or that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I'm
keep it in perspective.
I'm trying to change the norm for the people that I care about and kind of get them to see on their own like what's important about those days and what's not. You know, like Christmas has made brats out of so many kids. And it did to me too. Like I remember as a kid, like we had no holidays, and then Christmas, like our house would be full of presents. And I remember opening up presents and like throwing them to the side and being like, "What else?" It's like,
yep,
that's a shit kid. Like you want that kid to appreciate what they have and not just see this as like the day I get all the things because I'm special. Like you weren't special on December 23rd. Like so. You know, that's weird. A lot of the stuff I do and like the way I think a lot of people feel is very weird. And so like if somebody's listening to this and I'm like, that's fucking stupid, you're probably right. Like don't change your Christmas plans because I'm fucking weird. You know, like just let me be weird and you keep celebrating Christmas. Nobody listened to me. This is not a PSA.
It's just what you do. Yeah.
This is what I do. I'm just talking about me. You know?
Yeah. Why? It seems like strongest man in history. We had Nick Best on a while back too, and we talked with him about it. And like ratings wise, it sounded like it went pretty well.
Damn, well, we're the number 4 show,
right? So like, why isn't there another season of that?
So I can talk about it a little more now. Because Discovery Channel bought everything, so I don't even know if that's public, but I don't own shit to Discovery Channel, so I could say it. Like, so they own everything, like everything you've ever heard of: HBO, Showtime, MTV, Comedy Central, Cartoon Network. Everything on TV is now owned by Discovery. Discovery is trying to push people into their subscription system, Discovery Plus, which is actually like a decent setup. I like Discovery. I've worked with them in a couple situations and stuff. I'm very happy that they're taking over stuff. But so when that happened, now I'm allowed to talk a little bit more about what happened with the History Channel. A&E used to own the History Channel. We had a couple situations where people. This is the part where I have to be vague.
Okay.
Certain people rub people the wrong way, and it wasn't like anyone was trying to do anything wrong. It's just we are who we are, and that's why people like us. That's why people don't like us. That's why whatever we have and don't have is based off of who we are. So you don't give someone a show and then tell them not to be who they've been their whole life. Like there's a reason you came and got me, Nick, Brian, and Ed, right? Like you wanted Nick to cry and be old. You wanted Brian to be big and ugly, Ed to be stinky, and me to be beautiful. Like obviously, I mean, you know what I mean? So like, and so with the at the end of filming season 1, there was all these promotions and all these things we were doing because season 2 was going to be huge. And I think we just had a mishap with the wrong person, and the wrong person saw the wrong thing and all that kind of stuff. You know, like we can be pretty vulgar, us guys. Like I know people think guys are vulgar, but we kind of take it to another level. We had a guy in Scotland quit. Like I don't know if we get in trouble for saying this, but we had a guy in Scotland quit. Like he was our driver. And he spent one trip with us driving into town where it was like 30 minutes in, 30 minutes back or whatever. And we said so much horrible shit that he got back to the hotel. He left the keys in the car, got up out of his car and said, I can't do this, and just walked off. Left. Yeah, we say some horrible shit. And then, of course, like when you're with your brothers like that, like we're brothers and we travel and like, you know, you have a bond with someone, especially when you've flown overseas, got stuck on a shitty train and had to sit there sweating for another 10 hours. Like there's a bond that you grow. And we were extremely comfortable with each other. And then on top of that, we're competitive. So like, if I say something gross, Eddie's going to say something grosser. And then Brian's going to tell us all to stop. And we're going to make it way worse because Brian said to stop, you know? So like we had a thing where it was building into sooner or later, someone wasn't going to be happy. Mm-hmm. But I think with that, like it wasn't, honestly too, I wish I could say what it was because it was like nothing. Literally, like a stupid little joke. Like if you saw the video, that clip of me spitting on Nick, that orange juice.
Yeah.
It was nothing compared to that. Like that's literally, I spit on him and then stood there and talked shit to him about me spitting on him. Like I felt after that, I thought it was so funny at the time. But after that, I felt so shitty. Like I hit up Nick and I was like, bro, I'm so sorry, man. Like I thought it was funny. And he's like, no, it was funny. And I was like, no, it wasn't. Like that was, I feel like such a tool bag, like, you know, but, you know, we did though, we discussed some stuff and we now actually have full rights to our stuff. And I spoke with Brian and Ed and actually, I spoke with Nick too. And so it seems like everyone kind of wants me to write it out. Like I'm the writer of the group. I don't know if you guys know, like I write for a couple different magazines and then I write a lot of other shit for other people all the time. And so I'm writing out like outlines for episodes and then putting stuff together. And I'm trying to keep it authentic to what it was, but also like now that the cuffs are off, I want to lean a little bit more into who we are, you know. So we'll see. I'm excited. Hopefully we'll get to start filming it this year.
Cool. So then would that be a YouTube thing or would it actually get on a network?
That's the discussion. Discussion. So we have, I think it's 2 networks. We have 2, it might be 3. We have 2 networks, I think, that are interested. But the thing is like working with a network means not only do we take a pay cut, but we now have overlords and like all this different stuff. And so like, man, I wish some of the deleted scenes from some of this stuff, man, I truly wish we would have just filmed ourselves because it would have been huge. Like, I don't know how much they showed about like when we were in Wyoming and me and Ed had the same hotel room type of thing and all that. Like, but there was probably a good 20-30 minutes of footage that never got released, and just like using that for just clips for Instagram or YouTube or anything. I'm telling you that would have changed so much. It was so fucking absurdly hilarious. And did you guys get to see any of that?
I don't know if I remember that
No,
at all.
I mean, it's been a little while because I
Yeah.
watched it while it all came out. So it's been a little while now, but I don't really remember much of that.
Yeah,
No.
I don't either.
Yeah, I think they cut the whole thing out. Like Ed and I got stuck in the same room, and like Ed was in there taking a shower, and I went in and took a shit while he was showering, and like steamed him out.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all that stuff. Like there's scenes of me sitting on the toilet arguing with him with his head out the shower, and then like I'm sleeping naked with a CPAP on, and talking shit, like all kinds of stuff, and so there was just so much stuff, and that was just one instance. It seemed like every day we would come up with stuff, especially me and Ed. Me and Ed were very much pushing the envelope the whole time, and so we would come up with something, and they would just be like, "Oh no, we checked back with headquarters, and that's not gonna go."
Yeah.
All the same shit you hear, like people who have no added value whatsoever to the team will just show up, criticize something you've done, and then leave as if that's their addition to the show. Like put their name on the fucking credits,
Yeah.
And it's like you don't know comedy. You have nothing to do with anything. You work at a desk in LA, and you've got like fucking. Anyways, yeah. I almost went too far.
Well, and talking about TV too, you were in a Fuck That's Delicious episode, right? With
Yep.
Action Bronson.
My boy, Action. I think we did too. When him and I were filming, we had so much fun the first time we met. Like he was like, "No, you're staying here. You're staying in LA. We're hanging out." So like I ended up hanging for like a week after and all that shit. I think it was like 5 days, but it was still like in the middle of a busy schedule. I've got Worlds coming up, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna be smoking weed with Action Bronson for a while, getting pedicures and shit."
Yeah, and so did you know him before that? Like, how did that connection happen?
So I did the 20,000 calorie video. That was with Munchies. Munchies owns whatever.
Like it's all through Vice, isn't it? Is that?
Yes.
Yep.
So Vice, that's the word. So Vice owns Munchies. Munchies used to own that. Fuck, That's Delicious. I don't know if they still do, if he works for someone else now. But so it was all through that. And I was working a lot out of LA at the time because I think I was living in Fresno. And that's when I was getting a ton of commercial work. So like, my agent would call me in Fresno and he'd be like, "You come down to do a Subway commercial, film for a day, get fucking crazy, absurd check, and then go back home." And it was the shit. Like I ended up in 1 year, I got like 6 commercials, and then it all dried up. Like I think what happens is like the commercial spectrum spins, and so like there's this person who they're like, "Oh, you're perfect for this demographic." And then by the time the disc spins all the way back around, they're like, no, this demographic will hate you. So you're not perfect for any demographic. So I think that's kind of what happened with me. Like everyone saw me as perfect for males age 20 to 34, that's my fucking spot. Like nobody else gives a fuck about what I do besides dudes. Like literally.
Right.
Like, I mean, you go through my DMs, it's like 75,000 dudes and then one girl. And then that girl is a dude pretending to be a girl.
Right.
So, but that's the way that was then, back and forth to LA. Those were the true hustle times, man. Like no money, driving 3 hours, trying to hustle, trying to like get auditions while training, and then young baby, all that stuff. And so getting those commercials kind of kept me afloat for a while, and then luckily other things picked up, because like I said earlier, man, strongmen don't get paid shit for lifting weights, man.
Right. Well, and then what you were talking about, and I know Actions kind of is a fan of Strongman. So do you think he was aware of, like, was he personally aware of your Munchies thing, and then he kind of picked up on it through there?
Yeah, I think that's where it happened, actually, because he is a big fan of Strongman. And if you've seen those videos where he's wearing World's Strongest Man shirts.
Yeah.
I'm the one who hooked him up with that shit. Like,
Yeah, that's cool.
he hit me up and I hit up Worlds and they were like, yeah, we'll send him some because obviously he's actually Bronson.
Yeah. Right.
But he's a good dude too, man. He's super into strongman. He was a power lifter before he was a rapper and before he was a chef. He was into powerlifting.
Yeah, I thought I'd heard some stories about him talking about lifting at the gym and everything back in the day, but he's gone through quite a bit of a transformation the last year or so too.
Oh yeah, tons of weight loss and everything, man. So it looks like 150 pounds at least.
Oh, that's I couldn't believe you just get used to seeing him now. And when I went back and watched that video before the show, it's almost like, damn, he used to look like that. Like he has changed a lot.
Yeah, that was a feat of strength when I picked him up and spun him around the middle of the street.
Yeah, no kidding.
It was hard as shit.
If you could only pick one, you can't be both. You could only be one. Would you rather be strong or easy answer then?
No fucking doubt.
Okay.
No doubt, bro. So let's just who do you guys? Okay. If you say anybody besides two names, I'm going to fucking fight you. There's two names you're allowed to say in this. Big Z or Brian. Who's the strongest man who's ever lived to you guys?
That is a hard case between those two guys.
That is a really hard one for me too.
Yeah, but that's a good debate. And those two, both of them have claim.
I agree. To me, I agree. It's one of those two. I would say that for sure. And I don't know.
A lot of people don't know that Brian got first place at World's Strongest Man 5 times.
Well,
a lot of people
it came to that count back, and what was it
back
based
that wasn't
on?
in the rule book until the following year.
Right.
But again, that's nothing to do with Z.
No,
Z got first place that year too. That's more talking shit about the rule fallout, not Z. Like, I have nothing negative to say about Z. One of the kindest, most genuine people. Also, he's at least number 2 in the greatest of all time at the very bottom. And I have no qualms with someone saying he's number 1. I have no qualms with that either.
I really have a hard time picking though. Like, I'm trying to think if I could justify one over the other, and like the tiebreaker to me is if I try to think about, okay, like they both have these like very long.
I was gonna say longevity. It's hard to make a longevity argument,
right? Because and like they both have the titles, and then I wonder,
but
like
they both have these great rivalries.
Right.
Z came out and started fighting Pujanowski, and then started fighting other people, and then Brian came out fighting Z, and then fighting Thor, and like it's just. And they both have amazing careers, and I'm glad that at least we can agree that those are the top 2.
And then I try to think about like, okay, like who in their best year, like if you took both of them in their best year ever, like their strongest ever, who wins in like an average, in your usual?
I think we saw that, and they went back and forth.
Right. And so the craziest strongman, World's Strongest Man podium, there's one year where it's Marius, Z, and Brian are all on the podium together. And like, that's just a crazy, like, it's crazy to me that was a thing. Like that one.
So if you watch the credits after that on the YouTube video, it tells you that Marius' title was stripped for testing positive. And then when you dig a little bit, you find out that it wasn't like steroids.
Wasn't
or
it cocaine? Like it was.
He didn't even test positive for cocaine. He came walking out of a bathroom with 2 strippers and coke all over him. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Man, it's performance enhancing in a way, maybe.
Yeah, fuck, when you're fucking strippers, of course coke's performance enhancing.
Very anabolic.
Yeah.
I don't know if it helps you lift in weights, but it does help with the strippers.
What's your answer to the question though? Is it Brian?
Oh, I'm so biased. It doesn't fucking matter. Like I'm so biased. I just want to have people agree that the top 2 are the top 2. Like I don't want any more arguments about fucking this guy showed up and did good one year, and it's these guys have been doing it for 20. Like what the fuck are you talking about?
Well, and I don't put Marius Pujanowski in the category either because if we're talking about the strongest people of all time, like I guess it's just the competition was a little bit different to me then.
Yeah,
and he would get wrecked, right? Because back when Marius was winning, they had not Fortissimus, they had IFSA.
Right.
And so like
Where
all
Z
the,
was over there and everything. Yeah.
Z and all the other guys that were really big and strong were all at IFSA. And so, like, to me, Marius is a great strongman and fucking, like, obviously did a lot for the sport. Like, people recognize him, you know, probably as much or more than anybody else ever. So I don't have any, like, I don't dislike him or have anything bad, but like you said, you got to look at the numbers in the competition. It's like, if Marius could barely press 300 or like, I think they topped out at 260 or something that year.
Right.
And it's like Z had world record after world record after world record after world record in the overhead. Him and Brian both had deadlift world records like crazy. So like, there's no arguing when you look at numbers. And you look like, when you look at the numbers, it makes you think there's a 20-year gap. They were all on the podium together.
Yeah, which is wild.
It's not a 20-year fucking gap.
No, right. That is the wild part. Huh. Okay, we've got this special game we play with every guest called Overrated, Underrated, and we got a special OB set of topics that we handpicked for you. And it's just your job to decide if each one's overrated or underrated. We know that you're probably not short of opinions, so it probably won't be too hard for you.
Before everyone gets mad at me, right now, if you're thinking about testosterone replacement therapy, hit up manahtc.com.
So how do you spell it?
Now let's proceed in pissing everyone off.
How do you spell that though?
MANAHTC.
Okay.
Peptides and testosterone. We don't do any of the weird, crazy shit. Nothing illegal. None of that kind of stuff. Legal in all 50 states. All that stuff FDA approved. We do blood work. All that kind of stuff. It's no shady business whatsoever. I've got a family, and I'm too old to be fighting people in prison to save my booty. So I'm not being silly.
Okay. Well, that's before people tune out at your after your opinions. Good idea to look at it. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Overrated or underrated? Hagrid from Harry Potter.
Oh, underrated. I mean, I'm sure people would expect me to say the other because people talk about how me and Hagrid are so similar and stuff. But I fucking love Hagrid, and I think I take it as a compliment because I know people are making fun of the way I look. But I choose to see it as they're saying I'm a sweet, protective, big guy.
Well, and Hagrid was big too. I don't know how tall he was, but I think wasn't his brother like a giant or something too, or his like half brother or something.
His brother, he's half giant, and his brother is a giant. Yeah.
Well, being half giant
he's
isn't
my
all bad
favorite character in the movies. You know,
nobody would dislike him. I think everyone likes him.
Right. But that's not what they're saying when they call me Hagrid. But I just choose to see it as that.
Right. Okay. Speaking of big hairy guys, overrated or underrated? Eddie Hall.
Oh, it depends what you're talking about. Like, you're talking about, as a human being, obviously he's overrated. But it all depends on what and where. How about the 501 deadlift? Overrated or underrated?
So you're saying the 501 deadlift? You're saying Thor's deadlift?
I'm asking you guys.
Well, I think it's I think it's overrated. I'm not necessarily saying that.
No explanation.
It doesn't mean anything. I'm not saying it doesn't mean anything. I think the whole
no, of course,
right,
of course.
Right. But I think overall it was a little overrated, the whole thing, the whole thing for like this one lift. And like, that's what Strongman kind of, I know that there is, it's that at the same time that some of that stuff helps push Strongman and make it more popular too. So that's a good part of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like it was the same. I feel the same. It's just, with looking back at it though, I think it was all a setup. Like, I think Eddie was happy he pulled it so he could call him out.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah, because they had that thing going so fast. It felt like it was loaded and ready to go.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. I don't know.
So overrated or underrated? And this, we have to ask you this one. All of our fans, like when we told them we were having you on, everyone knows we play this overrated, underrated
Oh
game.
no!
Yeah, and this is the first one that everyone says, of course. Overrated or underrated?
Deadlifts?
Deadlifts, yep.
Well, it depends. It all depends. If you're just saying the word deadlifts and I have to answer to just that, then I will easily answer overrated. But if you're saying like to a strength competitor, then I'd say underrated. Or if you're saying to a strength competitors are athletes too, but like a non-strength athlete, then I would say extremely overrated. So like it all depends on the setting. It was I knew that was going to come up. It comes up no matter who I talk to, and it's been fucking years that I said the most mundane, non-argue, like you can't argue against what I said. Like it's fact, and like basically after it happened, I went to everyone I knew. So like I spoke to almost every strength coach in the NFL. I believe there was 44 or something at the time when I started talking to them, and I talked to 38. And then I started talking to people I know in MLB. And then I started talking to people who are training people in NFL and people who do like therapy for athletes of all sports. Then I talked to my Olympic friends, my wrestling friends. I talked to everybody, and they're like, no, we don't do deadlifts because the risk reward ratio is not good for athletes, and they're like, why the fuck are you asking this? This is like old information from 1985. Like and everyone else in the world lost their fucking mind. Like I was saying deadlifts are bad, but that's the climate. Like people see a headline and they lose their fucking shit. And it's like, no, I said I still do deadlifts. I said they're good for people who are going to compete. Like, and I said, if you want to do them and they're fun, you should fucking do them. I said all of that. The only thing I said that people don't like is that the risk reward ratio is bad. And that's just because they're fucking baby feelings. That has nothing to do with anything factual, because that is the truth. And that comes from, I think there was one. So a buddy of mine, he's like a 4-time Pro Bowler, played in Atlanta, played in Tennessee with Nashville. Anyways, NFL player, the highest paid offensive guard of all time in the NFL. Grew up. He lived with my cousins. I'm very close with him. Still to this day, I talk to him all the time. Hit him up, and I was talking to him, and I was like, everybody's saying that they've never once deadlifted. He played at Oregon State and then got drafted by the Falcons. And he told me that year 2 or 3 that a coach came in and wanted them to deadlift. And he was there for 3 weeks before he was fired. And so it was like 2 guys got hurt. And like it's not like they got hurt. He said that he wanted them to go to 80% and at week 3 or something. And bro, when you're working with offensive linemen, they're stronger than their body is prepared for, like holding that posterior chain.
Right.
Like you can't go to maximal deadlifts that quick at all. Like anybody, that's just a fucking blanket statement. Like, and then, jumping into somebody who's strong and making $36 million every fucking time they fart in the locker room. It's like, you don't fuck with their shit. You don't.
Yeah.
And like, you're supposed to do hang cleans and power cleans. And all of this came from, I took a trip to my old town and my old high school town. And I went and I talked to the team and I did a couple things. And this was literally on the way down to the Rogan show. So like, because I went to high school in Santa Cruz, California. Rogan was living in LA at the time. And I was driving through and I went and visited my old spot. And so the coach there was having the fucking freshmen in high school. They were deadlift testing the week of a game. They deadlift tested 2 weeks before that. And then they were going to deadlift test 2 weeks after that in the middle of the fucking season. And I lost my mind. I was like, are you purposefully trying to hurt these fucking kids? Like, there's no room for that. And we live in this time where everyone acts like they can say all this stupid shit and it's super motivational to say no days off and I don't give a fuck if your elbow hurts and lift your fucking back and it's like, you don't understand. People fucking listen to you. People go out there and they work with 13 and 14-year-old boys and girls who have the whole world ahead of them, and they fuck them up because you're fucking stupid and telling other people online that it's good to do this. And out of all of this, I had two people whose opinion I would even give a fuck about say, well, they didn't even say, one. Okay, sorry. I had one person whose opinion matters, talk shit to other people, and then cower when I brought it up to them. And this, I'm not going to say who it is because I think they're a good person. Then I had an old guy who was, I think he was like 43 at the time, who had already had 3 or 4 hip surgeries, and he was a okay lifter back in the day, but now other people say his name a lot, so they pretend that he's cool and stronger than he was. That asshole said something to my face. And I told him that he couldn't do my fucking warm-ups in his prime, and he had nothing else to say. So like that was the only backlash I'd physically gotten, but the internet backlash of all these fucking losers who don't even really lift heavy, telling other people to lift heavy, it like that shit surprised me. And to this day, it's still that. Like, obviously, I've been going off now for like 10 minutes, like yelling at my fucking phone. And, like, all I wanted to do was help keep young athletes safe so they can develop themselves properly. That's literally the only thing I wanted out of that.
Yeah, I mean, it surprises me that it's that controversial of a point. Like, I don't personally think it is, but I guess when you're talking to a crowd where a lot of people like tie their identity to squatting, benching, and deadlifting, that makes them second guess who they are. So maybe that's why it hurts so much.
Right. It's a personal thing, and to them, it's a personal attack. But like to me, I thought I was in a position where I could say whatever the fuck I want about working out, and people would be like, okay, like there's at least some validity to what he's saying, right? Like this guy works out for a living, so maybe like there's a grain of truth in there. But like that's a good barometer for our climate. You know, it's like if you disagree with someone, then it doesn't matter like what they're saying, if it has a point or anything. Like water's not wet if I don't want it to be wet. So
just so you know, before we put the episode out, we're going to cut out all of that justification, and all people are going to hear is that you said deadlifts are overrated. Good. And then on the thumbnail, do a picture of me. It's like
it'll be
a big X over a deadlift.
Eat a giant bag of dicks.
Yeah.
Fuck deadlift.
You with a speech bubble above your head.
Like I ate them.
And then I went into clarifying too. I was like, and this is only 8-inch front bar deadlift. Like if you're lifting elevated, the risk is extremely mitigated. If you're lifting side handle, the risk is almost nothing. Like there's only one specific thing that's risky. And that's all I'm saying. Like, you just use a fucking side handle. Not a big deal.
Okay. Last overrated, underrated topic, maybe the most important one. Overrated or underrated Mickey Avalon?
Do you know my history with Mickey Avalon?
Not really. We just
How the fuck? How did you come up with that name? I got to know this before I answer, and I will be honest to a fault. How did you come up with that name?
We just through research. We do quite a bit of research before we have.
I was gonna say I might have mentioned like in passing once or twice that some crazy shit happened with Mickey Avalon.
Yeah.
I think he's underrated. Somebody should be able to perform on as much drugs as that motherfucker's on. Like that dude should be champion of our society. But
I was a huge Mickey Avalon fan back at like 2007, 8 when he was first coming around. Man, he was pumping out some bangers then.
Yeah, that's when I did security for him, and he was like a super nice. Fuck, man, I don't know what I can get sued for and what I can't get sued for. Fuck. So I know this guy. His name is Dickie Mabalon. And he's a cool guy, like super sweet. It seemed like he was being controlled with drugs. This guy that I'd known. And allegedly. Let me just cover every fucking angle I can. I ain't trying to go to fucking court. So, you know, and even though this guy that I'd known was like, you could look in his eyes and see like a soul, like a sweet person, and that person was led around just in a way that just made me extremely uncomfortable. And you know, so, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna leave it at that. I felt very much like heartbroken over it though. Like I was sad. I felt bad, and I feel like if this guy was a singer and maybe he had a couple bangers, they would have been really fun to listen to in the club. Especially like, you know, if it was about like an old timey type of woman or something. But if all that being said, I mean, it's alleged anyway, so who knows? I don't know if I covered myself or not there. Like, I don't know if I was just super confusing or if I was safe or if like they're like, no, that was completely illegal and stupid. So,
so the short of it though, Mickey is underrated, you said?
No, well, nowadays I don't fucking. Has he been putting anything out?
I think like he's had a few things maybe in the last couple of years, but it hasn't been at the same level of as that earlier stuff.
Yeah. Well, then, like it's all context. Then it's all like if you're talking about his old stuff, I fucking loved it, and I would say underrated back in the day, even though he was huge, because he had some stuff. You really get to see an artist when you do security for him or when you do like go to a small show, because like they're not hiding and they're not pretending and there's not 40,000 people there distracting them, all that stuff. So the venue I worked at, we would only allow like 400 people in there. And I think the max capacity was 200, but I didn't know the place, so I can't get sued. But so like, you know, at those spots, it's very intimate. And, you know, like, I mean, like Willie Nelson and I were on a first name basis. He's guaranteed forgotten about me by now. But back in the day, like BB King and all these fucking great characters, I knew them intimately. Like it was really cool. And so with him, I felt like, I don't know, man, as cheesy as it sounds, I felt kind of like I wanted to try and do something for him, even though he was like, he was the guy, like big when I was working with him, and there was just no escape for him. And what's cool is like now he seems sobered up. I think that person that I was worried about with him, I don't think they're around no more. So I think it's better. I don't fucking know. We'll say underrated.
Okay,
How about that?
All right.
Yep, you didn't ride the line.
There
You can't ride, so we got an answer. No, that's great
Good.
news. It looks like you passed overrated, underrated. So great,
All right.
great job.
Nice.
No, that's great. I'm so stoked that we got to get you on. This was awesome.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've been, you know, it's been literally years of going back and forth and stuff. And and you guys have been great trying to make it work. And even though I'm, you know, in the middle of a hotel and stuff, it was easy, fun.
Awesome. And then what's the, you said you do the TRT and everything else. What's the website again? Mana?
Yeah, I mean, people are following. They can look at my links or whatever. The thing is at the end of this, nobody's going to listen to all this shit, right? So I could say, you know, cock and balls. It doesn't mean nothing. But hey, now they're going to listen because I said cock and balls.
Yeah.
So this is what we'll do. We'll say cock and balls, manahtc.com, cock and balls. and really just check out the podcast, Cock and Balls, Mad Ramblings.
Yep.
And you know, enjoy. But it's now the podcast is all mine, and so I don't have anybody censoring me, but I also like my last episode I put out, I went off and was like, fuck, I went way too far. So like I tried to edit what I'd said and ended up making a loop of what I said. And so I repeated it twice in the episode, like a minute and a half ramble of me saying shit I shouldn't say. And then I was like, fuck it, I just deleted the episode. It was up for like 40 minutes. And so like, I think like close to a couple thousand people had listened to it. And I was like, oh, fuck. But, little things like that, they won't keep happening. I'm in control of it, so they'll be coming out all the time. So, yeah, cock and balls.
Mad Ramblings, cock and balls.
Yeah. At least we kept them in there with the cock and balls, you know what I'm saying?
Right. That's right.
Speaking of which, did you guys ever listen to Adam Sandler's album when you were a kid?
Oh, I loved it.
Go play with your cock and balls.
Go grab down and reach your cock and balls. Oh, we've talked about that multiple times on the podcast before.
Dude, nobody knows about that shit.
What's your favorite skit or track off of that? What do you got?
I like the cock and balls. The piece of shit car was just a banger.
That's kind of an all-time classic.
Fuck,
I always like Toll Booth Willie.
Yeah.
And then Fatty McGee was pretty funny. I thought that was pretty. We'd call some people fat. Some of our friends, we call him Fatty McGee. Always.
Everybody says that, but nobody knows where it comes from. I think his best though was Lunch Lady.
Yeah, Lunch Lady is
that's top, especially when he did the skit with Chris. That was fucking huge.
Yeah, Lunch Lady Land.
Yeah. That's when Saturday Night Live was at its best for sure.
For sure, I believe that was its bestest too. A lot of people argue that Will Ferrell was better, and I'm like, I think Chris Farley and Adam Sandler and Chris Rock.
I think that's when it was at its best, if you ask me. But I mean, Will Ferrell has some really good stuff, of course, too.
Really good stuff. I mean, if you compare Will Ferrell's time to now, it's a fucking light years difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, Mike Myers was in there too.
That too. Yeah. Mike Myers had,
and Mike was so good.
Yeah.
And people don't realize, when he would do the old Scottish lady or the blind old man and all that shit, I would fucking die. That was so good.
And he had Dana Carvey with a lot of him. Those guys both had a lot going on too.
Yep, Dana Carvey would crush. They came out with a podcast and they only did a couple episodes and they stopped. But it was Dana Carvey and David Spade talking to all their favorite Saturday Night Live guests. So they did John Lovitz, they did Chris Rock, they did Tom Hanks. And it was super interesting listening, especially John Lovitz. I could listen to him talk all day. He's the fucking best. He's so hilarious and so unique. So, but yeah, if you ever listen to that, I don't know what it's called. It's David Spade and Dana Carvey.
Okay. All right, cool. I will check that out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Big Obi, thanks for coming on. This is good stuff. People will be excited.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'll have you guys on Mad Rambling soon. How about that?
Let's do
Anytime you line it up, we're all for it.
We'll do it. All right, boys.
All right, thanks
a lot.
Cock and balls.
Cool beat.
We gave him an extra serving of cool beans because he's a big guy.
For all the cock and balls.
Yeah, for all the cock and balls.
Yeah. That was really good.
That was good.
Fun.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Well worth the wait.
Definitely worth it. And, whether you like to deadlift or don't like to deadlift, I think what you need to use, whether you're deadlifting
There's
or
one thing we can all agree on.
Yeah, is that the plates that you use are the Strength Co plates.
Mm-hmm.
They're made in America. Grant Brogy started the company here during an iron shortage recently here in 2022. And really this company that he came up with just because of an iron shortage has really grown some legs, I would say. It's really taken off. And the Strength Co plates have not only become the go-to plates of Massenomics Gym, they've become the go-to plates of the Massenomics Discord community. They've become the go-to plates of Instagram, also almost. I would call it.
Even say the go-to plates of people on YouTube that are in the know as well.
They're the go-to plates of the Arnold Sports Festival this year. Yep. People are just going to them everywhere.
Accolades are endless on these things.
Yeah, so check them out. The Strength Co plates. We love them. We've got our collection of them keeps growing. When it comes to aesthetics and precision and durability and just all around cool factor, I don't think you can beat them compared to any other plates out there.
Can't. They're the best.
And that I'm not just whistling Dixie either, am I? That's pretty
it's the real deal.
Yeah, check them out. The Strength Co. Love their plates. Oh boy, what was the one thing there was something. Oh, I was going to talk about. There's a Massenomics wiki. It's on Fandom.
Yeah, I haven't
some of the guys have been working on.
This is a very recent development.
Yeah.
Actually, it existed but not really. But now
they're
it's
kind of
picking up more steam
Yeah,
again.
they're kind of contributing more to it. And I think somebody's been working on the actual Wikipedia angle of it, and it hasn't gotten there yet. So they're going with the fandom wiki of Massenomics right now, and like working on a few things. Like one of the ones they're working on the other day is compiling the full what's in the can list. So every episode, what can we had, what we rated it, and what my guess of it was, and like a full listing. And then there's just some
That's got to be an extensive file of that.
But if you want to get involved there's other
Which I'm
histories.
sure that's what everyone wants to do is get involved. You can add it to your Indeed
to-do
profile
list. Yeah.
that you are a contributing
Yes.
editor on the Massenomics fandom wiki.
If you do want to get involved, the best way, you wouldn't have to be on the Discord community, but it would make most sense to be on the Discord because
It
that's
makes
where everyone's
communication
talking.
much easier.
That's where everyone's
there's a
working on
channel
this thing.
set up just for it.
Right. There's a channel just for the Massenomics wiki where you could get involved in, and you could have some input over what actually shows up in there, because there could be a lot of goofy stuff in there, and you could have your hand in it that way.
You could be a part of Massenomics history.
Yes, you could be a part. Was there anything else that we had to talk? We talked about the drop coming on Thursday. Do not miss out on that.
Yeah. I'm, again, very excited for that. Looking at the list here. I don't know. Do you got some podcast reviews for us, Tanner?
Yeah, I did have a couple podcast reviews. I'm glad you asked that.
It's been so long since I've got to hear any.
Yeah, I haven't read any for a while.
Kind of missing out.
It's a great reminder to go ahead and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Hit us up with 5 stars so we can get closer to that 500 review mark.
And also hit that 5-star button on Spotify while you're at it.
Yeah, get us closer to that 300 mark. Okay, first review is from the Spartan Fireman. Do it. While it might be Aberdeen Magazine's 5th best podcast from Aberdeen, it's the #1 lifting podcast.
Didn't even make 5.
No, that's true. It's the #1 lifting podcast with 5 JD Powers in their trophy case. From fun beverage trivia, Texas Power Bar history, and tips on how to get strong, stay strong, and use your strength, it should already be in your playlist. But if not, add it now. Next one is from Big Steeb. The pod my wife loves to hate. 5 stars. I love that.
My wife.
My wife. I love that my wife hates how loud that I listen to this pod. Next one is from Coke Browder. I'm going to say how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength. From this podcast, you'll learn how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength. You will hear about the history of Texas Power Bars, how much a waist 35-pound plates are, and Dan Bell breathing occasionally. This podcast is a great podcast, and I look forward to the new episode every week. Next one is titled Silly Gooses. These guys live the lift hard, live easy lifestyle. If you're willing to chase the pot of gold of how to get strong, stay strong, and use your strength by listening to hours and hours of an all things weightlifting podcast about nothing, then crack open a piping hot LaCroix, tighten your weightlifting belt, and blast this podcast to some heavy Jefferson deadlifts. Just don't buy their hats. They're sensitive about that.
Oh, this guy
That's
gets
true.
it.
Yeah. I think all 4 today mentioned get strong, stay strong, use your strength.
Yep. So it's a lifestyle.
That is.
Did we, I'm trying to remember, did his latest meet, Dan Bell's latest meet?
I don't think we talked about that.
I don't think
no.
we did either.
No, he did have a meet here. Actually supporting our supporting member segment,
true.
Dan Bell. Yeah.
Pull that up. We
Yeah.
can't leave out supporting members.
Yeah, if just assuming it's on open powerlifting already.
It probably
I shouldn't have to
is.
scroll down very far to
No,
find
you
Dan on the
shouldn't.
list. I don't think you have to use too many filters to get Dan pretty high on the
No.
open powerlifting list, do you? Although, why didn't it come up right away?
I believe it was in Iowa, correct?
That's what Afro Man said.
Or was that South Dakota?
Now that's a tune, isn't it?
It's a banger.
Okay, now I found him.
Got it?
So it's not in here.
Okay.
His most recent is the Ghost Clash. So I cannot report exactly how he did.
I thought it was like 2470
Yeah,
something,
something like that.
2450. It was right in there.
Yeah.
But is that actually his last meet then? Like, is he doing another one?
I don't know. I don't know what he's
couldn't quite,
gonna,
I couldn't quite take away from his Instagram post.
Yeah, to be determined. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll have to have a special call just to for him to give us an update.
Yeah,
next
it felt like he
weekend.
was kind of hinting at like maybe that was it, but then also it wasn't like a firm like this is it.
Right.
Maybe my reading comprehension skills are really
No, I'm
low
not
too,
positive what his long term plan is
Okay.
there. he's kind of hinted towards that a little bit, but I don't know what's next exactly.
Keeping the people guessing.
Yeah. But supporting our supporting members.
Yeah, Dan Bell had me. Another one where he totals way too much.
A whole bunch. He lifted a lot.
Lifted all the weights. Doing Dan stuff.
Do we have a couple more?
I thought you'd never ask, Tanner. Yeah. We do. And as I'm going to start this by asking you another question. I'm going to answer your question with a question. And that question is, do you know what's in your supplements?
Well, funny thing, I actually use Fusion Sports Performance supplements, so I do.
All right. It was rhetorical, though. You weren't supposed to say anything. If you use Fusion Sports Performance, you always will. Fusion SP prides itself on being fully transparent, never using proprietary blends, and always providing its customers with top quality products. They offer 2 pre-workout options with Super Soldier pre-workout and Mad Titan High Stim pre-workout. Both have proven ingredients at their full clinical doses to maximize performance, increase muscular endurance, improve focus, and get you that much sought after pump. Both are favorites among strength sport athletes. Healing Factor post-workout combines BCAAs with a full serving of creatine monohydrate and other great ingredients to help maximize your efforts in the gym, build muscle, and recover fast. Fusion's whey protein isolate not only tastes great, it also has 27 grams of protein per scoop, 0 fat, and low or no carb options depending on the flavor. It doesn't contain any soy or gluten, and it won't cause any stomach discomfort. Available in vanilla ice cream, chocolate fudge, and frosted cinnamon roll flavors. Most orders are shipped within 1 business day, and every Fusion Sports Performance product comes fully backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to fusionsp.net and use code MASS to save a massive 20% on your order. And last but not least, today's show is also brought to you by Swisslink.com. In 1995, Maurice Big Mo Huffman founded Swisslink. He had a partner based in Switzerland, and their mission was to bring authentic Swiss Army goods to the United States and into the hands of those yearning for quality gear at uncompromised prices. Over the years, that mission expanded to nations across Europe and beyond. Now, for nearly 3 decades, Big Mo has been traveling far and wide in search of the best items from military forces around the world. Big Mo doesn't only find authentic military clothing for Swisslink, he brings in everything you could imagine from Czech Army bedpans to Italian champagne glasses. At Swisslink.com, you can find classic military surplus uniforms, a great selection of military-issue backpacks, tools, wool blankets, NATO fuel cans, gas masks, emergency food, first aid kits, survival packs, camping gear, and so much more. Swisslink's unrivaled collection and dedication to quality customer service sets them apart from the rest. Treat yourself to the real thing with authentic military surplus and save 15% off your first order from Swisslink.com with the code MASS at checkout. That's Swisslink, SWISSLINK.com. Thank you, Swisslink and Fusion Sports Performance.
I apologize for not chipping in any witty comments during the reading of those ads. I was busy working on some used equipment deals locally.
Well, that's one of the few allowable excuses.
If anyone's watching and you might have seen me looking at my phone the whole time, that's why I was checking some prices.
You're wheeling and dealing over here.
Yeah, trying to get the best
really
deal.
Going through the classified sections. And
Hopefully if I have something new purchased, we can talk about it on next week's episode.
It's all for the podcast.
Yes. Otherwise, from what I heard, though, great ads.
It was a great ad, and my reading of it, I say so myself.
As good as you've ever done.
Was right up there with some of my best performances ever.
No stumbling.
No stumbling. It was really solid.
That's good. I'll catch it on when I listen to this full 2-hour episode. Yeah.
Kind of curious how we're going to get the dog up here and not have. He seems to be kind of tangled in the cords, and I'm kind of like, okay, he's tangled in a cord. There's a lot of gear right here, and he makes one move, and he's sleeping. He's sleeping in them. Yeah, he makes one move, and that's all coming down. So
I guess we better end quick and shut things off before he makes any sudden movements.
Yeah.
Oh, he heard me say it.
He did hear you. He knows we're talking about him now. Oh God.
Now he's embarrassed.
Oh God, he's definitely tangled in that thing. Okay, just stay there, boy.
Tommy, where do they find you at?
You can find me at Tomahawk_D.
You can follow me at Tanner_Baird, but don't worry about that. Just make sure to follow Massenomics at Massenomics.
See ya.